I'm floating. That's the first thing I realize. Not like floating in water, buoyant and fighting to stay afloat. This is effortless. I'm just here. And this color, oh God, this color. It's everywhere, swirling around me, a deep, impossible violet. But it's not just a color. It feels like sound, like a hum that goes right through my bones, vibrating. And it's quiet, incredibly quiet, but so powerful. It's like being submerged in liquid moonlight. Soft but so bright, it feels like it's cleaning me from the inside out. And this warmth, it's not hot, not even like sunshine on your skin, but a pervasive, gentle heat, like the very first moment of dawn, before you can even see the sun. I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't a color I've ever seen. It was more like color as a feeling. And then this overwhelming sensation washed over me, stronger than any emotion I've ever known. It was a feeling of being seen, truly seen, and understood completely and accepted, utterly accepted. I've never felt anything like it. It was absolute peace. And then I woke up. My name is Isabella Rodriguez. I'm 58 years old and I teach high school history. I've been doing it for, well, a long time. Most days, it's a good life. Predictable. I like predictable. My mornings are usually the same. I wake up before the alarm, the house is quiet, and I make a strong cup of coffee, black. I sit at my kitchen table, looking out at the street as the sun starts to climb, and I usually think about my students. Are they ready? Did I explain that difficult concept clearly enough? It's the same worry, day in and day out. Before this happened, I didn't believe in anything I couldn't touch, couldn't measure. Faith was something my parents clung to, and as a kid, I went along with it. Church every Sunday, the whole bit. But as I got older, life felt more concrete, more manageable on my own terms. I drifted away, really drifted. My younger brother, he's much younger than me. We haven't spoken in over a decade. It's a long, complicated story, mostly my fault, I think, or at least I carried a lot of guilt about it. Just the week before, well, before everything changed, I'd been grading papers late into the night, a stack of them on my desk, the smell of cheap paper and ink filling the air, the quiet hum of the refrigerator the only sound. Just a normal Tuesday. Nothing special. Did you have any sense looking back that something was coming? It's funny, when you retrace your steps, you see the little things you missed. The days leading up to it, there was a weird stillness. Not a peaceful stillness, but like the air was holding its breath. I remember one afternoon I was walking home from school and I saw this robin fall out of a tree. It just dropped. Didn't look injured, didn't look sick, just fell. And then it just lay there on the sidewalk for a second and then flew off like nothing happened. I told myself I was just tired. Too much grading, not enough sleep. My mind was playing tricks. Inside, too, it felt fuzzy, like I was walking through a haze. I remember having this thought, really clear and sudden, that I hadn't really lived lately, just existed. Teaching, grading, coming home. And I brushed it off. What was I supposed to do? Drop everything and go backpacking through Europe? No, I was just stressed. I always told myself I was strong enough, self-reliant. I didn't need anyone, didn't need anything beyond what I could manage myself. That was my mantra, my defense. It was October 17th, 2022, a Monday. Mid-morning, the sky outside St. Jude's Hospital was overcast, a dull gray that seeped into everything. I was in room 3B, the operating theater. I remember the cold. Not a biting cold, but a sterile, pervasive chill that seeped into your bones, even through the thin hospital gown. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic and something metallic. There were people all around me, their faces blurred, focused. The attending surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the surgical nurse, the technician. They were talking in low, measured tones, efficient, professional. I remember seeing the bright, almost harsh glare of the surgical lights reflecting off their instruments. Then came that taste. A cold, metallic spread through my mouth, like licking a battery. And then the pressure. It wasn't a pain, not exactly. It was like a giant, invisible fist clamped around my chest, squeezing, squeezing. My breath hitched. My vision started to tunnel, the lights at the edges of my sight dimming. I knew, with a certainty that bypassed all logic, that this was it. This was the moment I'd always vaguely feared, but never truly believed would come for me. The sound started to fade, the professional murmurs becoming distant echoes. The pressure intensified, and then nothing. A profound, absolute quiet. The duration, I learned later, was 4 minutes and 12 seconds. They told me my heart had just stopped, and then I was back in that swirling violet. It wasn't a transition, not like walking through a door. It was more like the operating room just dissolved, like a watercolor painting left out in the rain, and then I was simply there. I was no longer tethered to a body, to the cold, the pain, the fear. I felt light, unburdened. The overwhelming sense of being seen was still there, amplified. It was like a gentle, pervasive warmth, but it was also intensely clarifying. The hum, that resonant hum, was everywhere, vibrating not in my ears, but in my very bones. It felt ancient, knowing. And then I saw her. My paternal grandmother, Elena. I'd admired her from afar, a formidable woman, but I'd rarely shown her affection. She was smiling, her eyes twinkling with a mischief I remembered from childhood, and her hands were smooth, youthful. The gnarled fingers I remembered, twisted with arthritis, were gone. A profound understanding bloomed within me, not in words, but in a silent, irrefutable knowing. She didn't speak, not in any way I could hear, but the message was as clear as if she'd shouted it. You carried your brother's burdens for too long. He is not a weight to bear, but a soul to cherish. It was so simple, and yet it cracked open everything I thought I knew about myself, about my brother, about my own strength. What was the message? Can you say it out loud? It wasn't a demand or a judgment. It was just truth. The specific message, the one that's etched into me, was this. Your brother's choices are not reflections of your worth. His healing is his own journey, and your love can be a quiet support, not a constant rescue. When I heard that, or rather knew that, something shifted. It wasn't a sudden burst of revelation, but a slow, quiet dawning. I saw in that moment all the years I'd tried to fix him, to control his narrative, to absorb his pain as if it were my own. I'd been so busy trying to rescue him, I'd forgotten he was capable of finding his own way. And in that understanding, I saw the immense power of just being present, of loving without demanding. It was like a dam breaking inside me, not with a roar, but with a gentle flood. I felt this incredible loosening, this release from a self-imposed burden I hadn't even fully recognized I was carrying. Then came the pull. It wasn't gentle. It was violent, a wrenching sensation, like being dragged backward through a keyhole. I fought it. I didn't want to go back. I was still absorbing that message, that newfound peace. But there was a tug, a reminder of the life I'd left, of the responsibilities, yes, but more than that, a sense of unfinished business. My brother. That was the thread that pulled me back, not out of guilt, but out of that new understanding, that quiet love. Suddenly, I was back in my body. It was heavy, so heavy and cold. The beeping of the heart monitor was deafening, and the sterile hospital light, was blindingly harsh. I felt the rough texture of the sheets against my skin, the dull ache in my chest. The first voice I heard was a nurse, her tone exasperated, saying, "Come on, Mrs. Rodriguez, you're going to be okay. Just breathe. Breathe." Such a simple thing, but it felt like an enormous effort. The world outside the operating room, the world I had left, felt too loud, too bright, too complicated, and so terribly separate. I was in the hospital for a few days. My colleagues visited, bringing flowers and worried platitudes. My estranged brother, well, he didn't visit. But a few weeks later, I did something I hadn't done in over 10 years. I picked up the phone. I didn't rehearse what I'd say. I didn't prepare to unleash a decade of accusations or pleas. I just called him. And when he answered, his voice tentative, uncertain, I said, "I miss you." That's it. Just, "I miss you." And then I listened. Really listened. Without interrupting, without judging, without trying to fix anything. It was terrifying and liberating. The after effect, that heightened empathic sensitivity, it's still with me. Sometimes I'll just know when someone I care about is hurting. Even if they're putting on a brave face, I'll feel a pang, a deep sadness that isn't mine, and I'll reach out, not to offer solutions, just to be there. Like last Tuesday, my neighbor, bless her heart, lost her cat. She was devastated, but trying to be stoic. I just walked over, sat with her on her porch swing, and held her hand. We didn't say much. It was enough. It's more than enough. It's everything.